Hi, good afternoon. Joe here at Wooliecottage, or it'll be Wednesday morning by the time you get this. It's Tuesday today. Okay, so I have been requested to do some gradient spinning and different techniques of spinning. So I thought I would just do a sample spin today of a fractal spin, or other people call it a barber pole. It's exactly the same, it's just different people use different terminologies for creating the exact same and going through the exact same process and preparation of a roving. You can do this with a bat, and I might do that video again, but I do have a fractal-esque style blending preparation of art bats in my timeline, in my stories. I think it may be August, September or something like that, so it's a bit of a scroll back because there's 109 videos on here at the moment, but yeah, you can scroll back and find that. But I think now that I've got the separate rooms, I can sort of just slow down in the explanation of it, and I'll sit down on the floor when I do the bat and do that again, and then you might get a better grasp of it. I think last time I wasn't completely clear on how I explained it. Anyway, I have looked everywhere in my stash to find some sort of wools that are gradient. Now I'm just going to do a spin. I'm just going to do a sample spin on this. So I found this wool that I've obviously used for some sort of blending in the past, and this is left over. Now a gradient spin is generally you want to spin from top to bottom of your wool, of your roving, and you want to help try and keep the colours separate so they're not melding into each other. So what I tend to do when I'm spinning wools like that, and I want the colours to have a distinct colour differentiation between each of the colours on the bat. So like we've got blue here, then we go into a light blue, then we go into this aqua, and then back into a blue. So I mean, a gradient really is literally just spinning it from top to bottom. Now you could split this roving in half, and you want to try and get as precise as you possibly can, and you can ply it together at the end, but as long as you make sure that you're spinning, when you first start spinning, you're spinning from the exact same end to end, then ply them together. Now everybody knows, no matter how much you try, when you're plying from two bobbins, you always end up with one bobbin that's got a bit left over. So when you look at your gradient plied yarns together, sometimes those colours are sort of slipped a little bit onto the next colour, so you're not getting a true marking change in the gradient going through your spin, if you get my drift. So what I personally tend to do is, when I'm doing that, I just literally spin off this one wool, and then I'll go downstairs and grab a cone of linen, or some sort of like I don't know, like a tweedy wool that's got speckles or something like that I've got downstairs in my stash, and I'll apply it up against this, so I can help myself by keeping that gradient of colour all the way through and consistent, and it's not melding into anything, and you can actually see the really lovely colour changes throughout. Some parts will matrix, so you'll or maybe slightly muddy, so there's like a mossy green here, and it's got the blue, so these two colours will meld into each other, but by the time I've got to here, I've got all the green, and then it'll meld into this section, and I'll end up with this like cloudy blue, and so on and so forth. It's not the best example of a roving to do a gradient spin from. It's just all I had. I mean, you could say that you could do it, this might be even a better one to do it from. So this is literally goes from this soft peach, actually it's sand, into the dusky, then it goes into an orange, and then a green, and then a blue. These are the only ones I could find. I do apologise, it's all I had. So yeah, so if you just spun it all off end to end, and it make the most glorious singles yarn. Now if you're going to do a singles yarn from your roving, when you're finished plying it, spinning it, sorry, you can leave it on your bobbin for a couple of days and then wash it. A lot of us, when people ask this question on Facebook pages, everyone's like, oh, how long shall I leave it on the bobbin for? And a lot of us like, we just spin it straight away. So you can steam set wools, but for singles you don't really want, you can steam set it, but personally I like to do a cold hot water wash. So I will literally wind it onto my niddy noddy into a skein, tie it all off, get a bowl, and a bowl of really cold water, frigid cold tap water, and I will fill up my sink with my warm soft soapy water. So I use a Delicate's detergent with no enzymes in it for silks and wools. So what I'll do the skein is I'll submerge it into the cold water, wait for it to get completely saturated and drenched, leave it there for about 5 to 10 minutes so that it's all frigid and it's all squished up and it's reacting, it's gone a little bit stiff. Then I quickly give it a quick squeeze and chuck it in that hot water. And it doesn't have to be scalding, that's not what I mean, but what you want to do is cause a slightly felting reaction from the cold to the hot. And then I just leave it in there for a bit and wash it as would. Then I'll take it out and I'll give it wring it through very gently, and then I'll give it a good thwacking so that all my balance and everything else all straightens out, and then I'll let it dry. That's the best technique to do with a singles yarn. That's what I say, and there's a few people that do it like that as well. So gradient is literally spinning from one end to the other, following all the colours all the way. Sometimes it's easier just to split that in half all the way down end to end. So the dog's here. Iona, come sit nice. No, not on me, here. Do you know, I'm not obviously not allowed on the floor. Okay, so yeah, so spin it end to end all the way through to get your gradient. And as I say, either leave that as a singles or apply it against each other, but you're not always going to get a completely true colour alignment all the way through. If you're brilliant and you've got one of those magical techniques that you can get your bobbins to actually ply off at the exact same time, please let me know. Otherwise, ply it off with a lovely, pretty, already coned yarn, or even a dyed cone yarn that you've got maybe in a 4-ply. Or even a lace weight, just to compact together, because it does look really nice, and it actually it makes it more of a versatile wool, because if you're doing it with a very thin fibre to ply with onto that gradient, then you can create the most gorgeous looking shawls that are going to be perfect for both summer and winter because they're really lightweight. So yeah, that's what you want to do for gradient. So what I'm going to actually do is prep my wool for doing a fractal. Now a fractal ply, as I say, is exactly the same as Barbara Pole. Now shall I do it in this one? I actually think this is slightly, oh, it's not too bad. I thought it was going to be slightly, I've not steamed this, you see. Usually I steam all my wools before I sit and spin them in my little steamers downstairs. I'll do this blues and browns one. Okay, so I'll just plonk that to one side, and I will do it with this one. Now I've already split this in half. Okay, make sure that I've got the right ends. Now, if there are loads of different techniques that you can do when you're spinning, you can split your roving in half and spin one on the bobbin in this green from top to bottom, and use the other one, turn it around from bottom to top, and spin that straight onto your other bobbin, exactly the opposite ends all the way down, and then ply them together, so you end up with a top tail plied connection, which can look really pretty sometimes, and it can give the most lovely looking effects in a knitting swatch. But that's not what we're doing today. So you get your roving, you split it down the middle as equally as possible. You get this one, put it to one side, then you get your other one. Now you have to remember as well that you want to, when you're spinning all these sections, you want to spin them from the same colour end, otherwise it's just going to all go to, it's all going to go Pete tongue. Now get your other piece, the other half, and split that in half again. Oh, this is actually breaking quite nicely for me, all the way down. I think this is actually South American top, this. So I know that I'm starting from the green section, so I'll make sure that it's wound in my hand. Okay, so that's 2. Then I will get my roving again, and I will split it in quarter this time. Oh, okay, so that's a quarter. And then if you're feeling very, very brave, you'll split the other quarter into an 1/8. If you will allow you to do it. If you're doing this with, say, a Finnish or a Gotland or a Norwegian wool where the fibres are really, really long, you might not be able to get away with doing it again. Okay, so this is my quarter, and I'm going to attempt to split it into another 2 sections. What do we think? Am I going to be able to do it without pulling my hair out? Ooh. Yay! Right, so there we go. There's an 1/8. That's 1 put to one side, and there's my other 1/8. Now what you're going to be doing is creating like a striping effect all the way through. Now the thinner your pieces of roving are that you've split up, the shorter those colour sections are going to be. So like, I'm going to spin onto my bobbin the smallest ones to my largest ones. So I'm going to go and spin that and these 2/8. Then I'm going to spin my quarter, and then that is the half of the quarter. Okay, so you know what I mean. So I had the half piece and I split it in half. So technically that is a quarter, and then I've got the other piece which would be an 1/8. And then the other piece would be even thinner than that, and that one. Right, anyway, so I'm going to spin them like this all the way along. And what it will do is I'll end up with shorter colour sections from each of those. Because there's not a lot of fibre in those stretches of wool, I will end up with a shorter distance in between my changes, between each section. So eventually, once I get down to here, well, I'll start off the small ones, and I might end up, just for talk's sake, a colour section change this long. And again on the next piece, because it's exactly the same width or weight variable, about the same. Now from there onto my third one, which is even larger, it will probably end up being about that much of a distance between its next colour change. Then we'll go from that distance, okay, to the last one and the bigger one. It will probably be, for example, that long before I get to the end of it for the colour change sequence all the way through. And then I'll apply it against this one, the half, from top to bottom, but making sure that I start with the exact same colourway at the beginning and spin it all the way off to the end, and then apply those 2 bobbins together. There you go. Sometimes what I like to do is just wind these ones, smaller ones, off into a cake, and they just pile them up against each other. And I do the exact same thing with this, but that's not what we're trying to achieve today. So I just want to read a section out of my copy of Yarnitecture. And this book, as I said the other week, there is by Gillian Moreno. Lovely, wonderful book for referencing. And I just want to read out her little slot about fractal spinning. So there's been a lot written about fractal spinning. The ultimate and original article by Jane Laidman in the summer of 2007 issue of the Spin-Off magazine. I have a sample of a simple way of describing it, and it uses no maths or science. It's all about combing long and short. When I discussed pre-drafting on another page, I pointed out that more fibre is stripped vertically, the shorter the individual colours in a colour run become. Fractal spinning takes advantage of this idea. For a 2-ply fractal, split your fibre once and spin one half of it so that you get a long colour run, and split the remaining half again into halves, then into quarters or even eighths, so when you spin you will get shorter colour runs. When the two singles apply together, the short colours dart in and out of the long colours. Sometimes a whole colourway repeats on the short run singles before the solid colour changes on the longer piece, so the original bit that you did, the original half. The long run singles. The result is gorgeous and it's mesmerising to watch them plied together. When I divide my fibre for a fractal spinning, I take at least 2 steps between the sizes. I also keep in mind what size yarn I'm spinning, and I don't strip to a size that I can't draft. For example, I might ply the singles spun from half a length of the braid with the singles spun from an eighth of the original braid. What I notice about yarn spun fractally is that there is always more stretches of colour that match up than I expect, and when the yarn is knit, there is still striping, but the stripes are softer and more undulating than the harder striping of a matched ply or even a random as it comes ply fractal. Is wonderful for bigger projects when minimal striping is desired. So this, if you can see, is the sort of thing that she means. Okay, so this is obviously a bit more harder when it comes to the colour changes, but that is the half one, whereas when you're using it spun up with the little ones, this is the effect that you're going to sort of get. It's just an example. Okay, so there we go. So I am going to go and sit and spin these off. I will fast forward this because it will take a bit of time. I might only do half the amount that I need. See how I feel. I feel a bit lousy today, so you have to bear with me. And obviously the dogs, look, she's crashed. Yeah. So we're going to go and get ourselves sorted and reposition ourselves. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. As you know, I don't get sponsored for doing my videos, but I do have a Ko-fi account, and my account on there is actually Wooliecottage. So if you wanted to help contribute towards doing these, and then I can do more, because I do spinning and art yarn spinnings, but my wools don't always sell unless it's a commissioned order, and these are making out of my stash that I could be using for making bats. So really it's costing me to be able to do these. I don't mind doing it. I could try and sell them on my website, but the odds are that I'll probably end up gifting it away. So as I say, I do have a Ko-fi account, or if you'd like to buy what I've ended up spinning off here at the end of it for a really silly reduced price and just added your postage, or throw it in with an order that you've got going, then you're more than welcome to have it, because it will just sit hanging up and I won't use it. Anyway, so I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to spin this long thick piece off first, and this literally is me spinning off the gradient side of this going to be 2-ply wool. Okay, so you'll be able to see it come out with its colours, and it will spin along on there, and the bobbins will take on the different layerings throughout the spin. So that's what I'm going to do first, and then you've got an idea, and then you could literally take this off the from your wheel, go downstairs, get your cake of yarn or whatever it is that you've got that you'd like to supply with this as it is, and not a wool, or even a plain woven wool that you've got, maybe something that complements this, and then come up, ply it off together, and then you'll end up with a gradient throughout that. Okay, I'd probably use one of my black wools downstairs. I've got some lovely tweedy ones downstairs, 100% tweed, but it's like a very thin lace weight, so I'd probably use something like that, so that these colours will actually stand out a little bit against the black. Anyway, this is not getting spinning, I'm too busy talking, so I'm going to stick you on. I'm going to start spinning this off, and I will speed it up.
With no strings tying you to me, I'm happy in your company with no emotion, 'cause my love deserves to be free. I never wanna look at a house in the garden, I never wanna lock you down. I know you're not mine, it's just my turn, but we can still have fun for now. You told me you don't really do commitment, trust me, consider your message received. When you said you couldn't take us too seriously, I must admit I was relieved. 'Cause I never wanna play happy families with you, but I like having you around. I'm fully aware this is a flash in the pan, but we can still have fun for now. So when you stop paying so much attention, and when you're moving in another direction, don't worry, I get it. I meant what I said when I said it, lady. I never wanna look at a house in the garden. I never wanna lock you down. I know you're not mine, it's just my turn, but we can still have fun for now. No, I never wanna play happy families with you, but I like having you around. I'm fully aware this is a flash in the pan, but we can still have fun for now. Yeah, we can still have fun for now. Oh, we can still have fun for now.
Seeing eyes of mine, what do you feel beside? I don't know where we're gonna fly like you did sometimes. Seeing eyes of mine. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll try to fix it. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll change it, change it. Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me. In this desert, I can look at you with love. Seeing all that I can learn. Can you stay and I will grow? Grow the hanging gardens of Babylon. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll fix it, fix it. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but we'll change it, change it. I would like to tell you mine and my streets. I would like to go with you into the street. Please don't deny your love makes me feel alive. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll fix it.
Okay, so I've changed my bobbin over, and that's what I've ended up with. Okay, a nice gradient. So that is technically your gradient spin. The trick to it though is when you've got your colour changes, if you want the colour changes to be a bit more defined, try and stick and really slow down when that colour change comes in. Make sure you pick up all that peppermint green before you start hitting this grey colour. Even if it's a matter of you I'll show you in a minute exactly what I mean, but even it's a matter of you sort of twisting that wool round, because sometimes when you're spinning from a roving or a drafted bat, you tend to sometimes just come down the sides more than you do across the middle. So I try and keep my section here quite flat as I get to my colour changes, and I try and just pull from here and all the way along rather than twisting it, like lean it from side to side to try and catch the fibres. I generally try to make a conscientious effort to catch the exact same colour change all the way through, so it becomes a bit more defined in its separation. But I will show you. I'll move the camera in a minute so you can see what I'm doing. So because it's only a small amount, I think there's about 50 grams of wool that I've actually split up into these sections. Myself, I would just literally go from this now on the exact same bobbin and ply up the colours that I'm about to do next. But because it's finished on this mossy end, and I know what I'm going to do afterwards is wind it into a cake once I've spun it all on, then you're pulling from the centre and the outside, and then you end up in the middle. So for me to do that, I would make sure that from now on I would spin the opposite end. So I would spin the dark to the light, dark to the light, dark to the light, and dark to the light. So when I wind it off into a cake later on, or in around my hands, then I know that I am then getting a light piece from my centre purl and a light piece from my outside purl, and then when they meet in the middle, I end up on the dark colour. It makes perfect sense. If you've only got one bobbin, that's the best way to do it. If you're working from smaller sections, because you don't need to use, as she said, you don't have to use a full length if you've got a limited supply of bobbins. If you've got a little cake winder, like one of the winder machines, I got mine from a charity shop, and it only cost me a tenner, but I know you can buy them from that big shop online for about anywhere between 12 to I think £15. I do, and I would love one of those wooden wind up ones, but that's a treat for another day. But yeah, make do with what you got, Joe. Eyes are bigger than your fibre belly. So I am going to make sure that I spin from the correct side now, and I've got these two smaller pieces to do, then I've got the next piece to do, and then the quarter. And that's what I'm going to be spinning off end to end, from green to dark, green to dark, green to dark, green to dark, all the way through, and then we'll apply it off at the end.
Seeing eyes of mine, what do you feel beside? I don't know where we're gonna fly like you did sometimes. Seeing eyes of mine. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll try to fix it. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll change it, change it. Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me. In this desert, I can look at you with love. Seeing all that I can long. Can you stay and I will grow? Grow the hanging gardens of Babylon. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll fix it, fix it. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but we'll change it, change it. I would like to tell
Right, so both those bobbins applied up or spun up now. Now, effectively, what you've got is a gradient spin bobbin full of yarn. If you want to split, not do all those little mini sections, quite easily create your other side with the other half without splitting it all down to loads of little bits, and then ply them off together. Just remember where your start end is on both of them, so you end up the same colours all the way through. Also with this as well, effectively you create yourself a striping yarn. So what you could do with the other half, instead of spinning that all the way from top to bottom, is split it up like these into the little mini sections, like the half, the quarter, the eighth, and then the two last pieces, which would be what, I don't know, a third? Can't remember. Anyway, I was never good at fractions at school. I took them until I was 19 before I figured out what percentages were. So effectively, you've got yourself a graduating striping yarn, effectively. So if you did that on the other half and broke it down exactly the same as that and spun them off the exact same way on each one, then you've created a striping yarn. Simples. It's such a versatile thing to do when you just sit there and play around with your fibres. Okay, so I have got my lots of ones and my big one. So this is the tricky bit. This is trying to get the blinking bobbins now to spin off, ply off at the same time and not end up with a lot at the end. Anyway, so I'm going to get on with this. I'll stick some music on for you. Mr. P's back from work, so I think he's going to be doing my dinner tonight. Fingers crossed. Have a night off from cooking. Little sip of me herbal tea. And spend the next 15 minutes doing this while you're on fast forward. See you on the other side. So you go, right, can you see that gradual change throughout on the spin? You've got different colours. I will take a picture of this so you can see what it looks like in real light. I've got the light behind me, which is quite happy. It's going really dark out there. The blue clouds are coming in for a good old pour down. But there, you can see the Barbara Pauline or the fractal spinning, creating stripes and light and darker tones. So it ends up, you end up with a really long colour gradient all the way through it, with intermittent colours popping in and out throughout it. So it is a type of gradient bat, but what you're doing is you're creating a gradient yarn, but you're creating a gradient yarn with a slight striping effect throughout it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got a gradient yarn, and the best way to example it is if, for instance, you've got a roving that's been dyed in, say, 3 colours, okay, or 3 shades of a single colour. So you've got like a very soft creamy yellow, and then it goes from yellow into peach, and then from peach into orange. Then you literally just spin that end to end. You are going to get a gradient, a lovely, really pretty gradient all the way through. If you split that roving in half, so you end up with 2 lengths, just to make your life a little bit easier, then you can spin them on 2 bobbins and then spin them end to end, or flip it so you can end up with a slightly fractal spin from just doing that, because you're creating the light shade to sit with the dark shade and the dark shade to sit with the light shade at the bottom. So it does the exact same thing again. And if you're going to do that, you might as well just ply off one side, wind into a cake, do your end to end, and you'll end up with that sort of look on there. But if you're wanting a solid gradient, a colour where there's no interactions at all going along, then literally just spin your wool from top to bottom. It's as simple as that. There's no maths in it, there's no headaches in there. It's as simple as that. Just literally spin it off from end to end. So yeah, I hope that was helpful to you guys. That I know there's a few that have just come into fallen down the rabbit hole of spinning and weaving and that sort of thing, or knitting. Yeah, so I was asked if I could do it, and it's been a while since I've done one. And next week I will make a conscientious effort to try and find a gradient bat down in my stash downstairs. I will stick this on my shop later on. Let me just see how much yarn is actually there. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33. So there's about 60 odd yards there. Something, I'll recount it again later. But I'll stick this on my shop, and it'll literally be under a tenner, because it is wool, it's just sat in my stash. And if it comes in handy for somebody who wants to do a bit of pattern work and you only need a little bit, especially for hats and mittens, this is perfect for that. So I'll stick this on my shop later on for probably about, as I say, I don't know, 9-10 quid, and it will be on there later. Next week I will do a gradient bat, and I'll do the exact same thing, and I'll show you how to spin a gradient bat and the preparation of that. And you can, as I say, you can do a fractal like that, but I think I might leave that for another video on its own. Yeah, so I'd like to say thank you here as well, because a few of you follow me over my Instagram account, and I hit just over 1,000 followers on my Instagram yesterday, or the last couple of days, but I was waiting for it to settle down and people to actually follow and not delete afterwards. So thanks to that, you are all now being offered, overseas and UK, a 20% discount code on my website. You can't use it against any of my batty clubs at all, and it's only valid till Friday anyway, 10 p.m. British time. So over in America, I think in Massachusetts, they're 5 hours behind me, so 10 my time's 5 p.m. over there, just to give you a for instance. So yeah, if you use the name Iona, I-O-N-A, in capital letters at checkout, you can use that towards my art yarns, my hand spun wool. If I've got any on stock, I need to relist all them on there. My bats, even the new ones, locks on there. There's some things that are still discounted from Christmas time that I haven't amended. What else can you buy on there? I've got my crafters pennies. You could order yourself a fluff rescue, and I can get that sorted out and posted out by over the weekend probably. It takes a couple of days to get that sorted out because they're all done from scratch, so you can use your 20% discount code towards that. As long as you spend £10 or more, then it'll be activated when you get to cart. So again, it's Iona, valid until this Friday evening, 10 p.m. Go off and pop off and do that. So as I say, you'll be watching this Wednesday. So Wednesday lunchtime is my YouTube live, and I will be starting to delve into dyeing my wool for my swag along. So if you want to come and meet me then, or join up with me and have a bit of a natter, and we'll have a little play with some watercolour paints and show them what colours will happen when they sort of blend together, and what type of colours we'll get as in matrixing shades. When it comes to weaving, maybe dabbling with a bit of my paints and my watercolour pens might help people be able to see exactly what it is that we'll be thinking about when it comes. And I might even wear my pinafore dress tomorrow. We'll see. I'll have to fix it. Anyway, I'll let you go. Hopefully this video has not been too long. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for all the support over my Instagram account, and hopefully I can start doing more of that over here on YouTube. See you later.